Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece.
Kids have always had crazy imaginations, and they always make up the weirdest stories or make up the weirdest monsters that they see or claim to see. Or that's what I thought. My name is Chelsea, and for the last 12 years I worked in a pediatric hospital where I took care of kids as a nurse, checking on them, whether they had some kind of strange illness or anything else like cancer or other conditions, or they broke their arms or legs, stuff like that. And while I was working in that hospital, there were a few kids who would tell me that they would see a woman that was a cross between a wolf and a human being. It was weird how they described it to me. Some of them described it as the wolf woman. It was weird at first, and I brushed it off as them having a bad nightmare, and I assured to them that no such thing didn't exist. Well, it didn't until I happened to come across this wolf woman. And let me tell you, whether you guys believe me or not, it did happen, and it was far more scarier than what the kids were letting on. So it happened on a Friday evening. I was the night shift nurse, and I started from 6 p.m. and I worked all the way until 9 a.m. I was sitting at the desk, just signing papers and looking over things and going over some of the patients' chart data. That's when I got an alert that one of the patients, a little girl, needed assistance. This girl's name was Sally, and she was fighting leukemia. I got up and went to her room, and I asked her, "Hey Sally, how you doing? Is everything alright? Need help with something?" She looked at me with her eyes wide open. Her skin was pale. And I wasn't talking about pale because she was fighting cancer. No, she was pale like she'd seen something that really spooked her. And then she said in a shaky voice, quiet, hushed tone, "I saw the wolf lady. She was standing by my bed. She said she wanted to kill me. I'm scared, Nurse Chelsea. I'm scared." "I'm pretty sure you're just having a bad nightmare. Look, I'll look around for you. I look in the bathroom and I look under the bed. But I assure you, no one is not coming in here. This is a very safe place, okay, sweetheart? Just had a bad dream, alright? Want me to get you some water?" I asked her while I was reassuring her no such thing as the wolf lady existed. I looked around in her room, and as I thought, no one was there. But the girl, Sally, convinced me that the wolf lady was there, and she was standing by her bed. I gave Ashley some water, and after that, I told her, "Trust me, Sally, everything is alright, okay? There's no one coming in your room. It's completely safe, alright? You get some rest, okay? And ring if you need anything else." Okay. A few hours later, I was walking around, going to each children's room to make sure they were doing alright, checking on them one by one. That's when there was an alert. It was in Sally's room. Her heart had stopped. A bunch of doctors ran inside of her room, and I ran in there as well. Her monitor was flatlining. They tried to revive her. It took about 30 minutes for them to try to desperately revive her, but they couldn't. And a couple of minutes later, they declared her dead. My heart broke. I couldn't imagine how her family was going to feel knowing that they lost their precious little girl, her mom, dad, and her siblings. It was just so hard for me to believe, but at the same time, it was really confusing because when I last checked on Sally, she was doing okay. Everything seemed normal. Also, the doctors and I noticed something else. On Sally's neck, there were claw marks, like someone violently scratched her. It was strange because no one went inside of her room. Everything seemed clear. No one didn't go in or go out of her room at all. So we were wondering, how did she get these claw marks? They definitely didn't come from her at all. Sally died at around 7:15 a.m. Her parents came in about 20 minutes later. They were crying, confused and upset, wondering how this could have happened under the doctor's care. The doctors or I didn't have any way to explain it. Only thing we could tell them that we were completely sorry and that there will be an investigation into her death. The autopsy revealed that Sally died from strangulation. Her air pipes were crushed and it resulted in her heart just stopping. A few weeks later, her parents demanded to see the surveillance cameras to see what happened to their daughter. And in the video, it shows Sally asleep. Everything seemed alright. Then all of a sudden, she started getting up, but she couldn't. She kept on slamming back down into the bed, holding her neck. It was almost like there was an invisible force choking her. She kept on squirming around. In the video, I can hear Sally say, "Stop, you're gonna kill me." Eventually, after the video ended, Sally laid there in the bed. And that's when the video footage showed the doctors running in, trying to revive Sally, but they couldn't. A few weeks after Sally's death, I was working the overnight shift like I always do. And that's when I got an alert to go check on the patient. They were asking for something. They pushed on their buttons. This time, I went into a 8-year-old boy's room. His name was Devin. I walked in there and I asked him, "Hey Devin, is everything alright? You need anything?" And what he said to me in response sent chills down my spine. "Nurse Chelsea, you gotta stay here. I don't want to be in here. She's gonna come back for me. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me the way she killed Sally. That's what she told me. The wolf lady." My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There was two things that freaked me out. One, the wolf lady, the same thing that Sally mentioned to me before she died. And two, his acknowledgement of Sally. How did he know about her? He wasn't a patient here at the time when she died. This was really creepy, and this was never really made public as well. And instead of me telling him that it was probably a bad dream, I asked him a question. "Hey Devin, do you mind drawing me a picture of how this wolf woman looks? I have some crayons and some paper I can give to you." He nodded his head, and I grabbed some papers and some crayons, and he started drawing immediately. It took him about maybe 15 minutes before he was done, and he gave the paper to me. When I looked at it, it sent chills down my spine. This kid was an excellent drawer, and what he portrayed in the drawing really frightened me. It showcased what looked like a woman, like he said, but it was like a human hybrid between a woman and a beast, a wolf-like or dog-like creature. It walked on its hind legs, but it had a tail that was really sharp, like an arrow. And it had horns as well, and pointy ears. In the drawing, the creature had very sharp, daggered teeth and glowing green eyes. As I was observing the drawing, that's when I heard Devin scream real loud. I looked up, and to my horror, I saw a creature that looked exactly like Devin's drawing, standing in the middle of the doorway in Devin's room. The creature looked exactly like the drawing, but except it looked even more terrifying. The wolf woman was indeed real, and I was staring right at it. Its breath was foul as it was panting in and out, breathing, as the whole room smelled like hot, rotting meat. The creature woman had pointy ears, horns like a devil, had sharp, daggered teeth, glowing green eyes that looked like it could pierce through your soul. It was tall, about 8 feet tall. It had long hair like a woman. It looked like a woman, but it had fur all over its body. That's when the creature let out a very bone-chilling growl that really brought out all my fears. It chilled me to the core. I immediately grabbed Devin and I carried him as he had a broken leg, and I ran as the creature followed us. First, it ran on 2 legs, and then it got down on all 4s, charging like a beast that it was. Please, Nurse Chelsea, don't let it get me. It told me it wants to kill me just like it did Sally. I'm gonna take you somewhere where someone can help you, okay? I took him to the hospital priest, Reverend David. And when I explained to David about what happened, he immediately prayed over Devin. And then he went into the hospital area where I saw the creature. And when we got into the hospital area, it was still there, standing there. Its eyes were glowing red. The priest pulled out his cross and began to say a prayer in a different language. The creature seemed annoyed by it, and it screeched and hollered. Eventually, the creature disappeared. A few moments later, I got Devin back into his bed, and I thanked the priest. After that, everything was back to normal, and there wasn't any more reports of a wolf lady creature hunting and tormenting the children in the hospital.